Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to give you guys some tips and a little quick instruction on how to use POR-15. It's a paint for mostly like metal, and I just got done doing it on my front and rear bumper and my frame. So for all you folks that are new to it, or this is your first time hearing it, this is what it looks like right here. It's all coated in the paint because it's been dripping, but it's POR-15. This is a 1 quart. Cost about $42. I was able to get this at my local Napa store. Now only particular Napa store has it, so the big the Napa store that had it was the one that had a paint department, so you got to call around, make sure they have a paint department, and then you can get it. They sell it in small size, bigger size, depending on what you need, but this is 42 bucks for the quart size, and price has definitely gone up because I remember a couple years ago this thing used to be like 35 bucks or so. So there's instructions on how to do it properly per POR-15's their website and stuff. You're supposed to degrease it, apply the self-etching stuff. I'm not gonna go through that. You guys can read it yourself. I'm gonna tell you guys how I do it, mistakes, tips, and stuff like that I've went through. So the way I do it is, or here's the thing, guys. You can't just apply this onto metal, onto your frame. Well, let's just talk about frame as example. You can't just clean your frame and apply this. It's gonna peel off within like a few weeks or months. 90% of the work, just with like any paint job, is prep. 90% is prep, 10% is painting. The painting is the easy part, but the prepping is the one that takes time and stuff like that. So the way I do it is, how I did it was I washed my vehicle, like pressure washed it, degreased it, and then I went and used a wire brush, like a grinding wheel wire brush, and I grind off all the old rust, because you don't want to have any old rust or any big flake rust that's about to come off. You want to get all that stuff off, so you want to grind as much as you can. Wire brush as much as you can, or use sandpaper, whatever you prefer. The wire brush is just more easier. You want to wire brush it, and then after you're doing that, you want to, what I do is I spray super clean degreaser again, and then I wash it again and let it dry off. And then after that, I go and apply the POR-15. Now I'm gonna tell you how I do it. You always want to pour the POR-15 into a separate container. You want to pour enough. Let's say you're doing just your rear bumper. You want to pour, like, give an estimate, just enough to cover that bumper. Now, if you didn't pour enough, you can also go back and pour more. But start with the little and work your way from there. Back then, I didn't do that. Back then, I would just open this can and I would just go paint. And the reason why you don't want to do that is because you're contaminating it. Every time you paint something, let's say you get some dirt on this brush or some rust on this brush, and you dip it back here, you're contaminating the main guy. And also, when you leave this open during your paint session, let's say you're painting for 30 minutes, during that time, this thing here can start curing. So I used to do that before when I first started. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You want to pour enough into a separate container, and then right after that, you want to close this up. You want to wipe as much as possible and then close it up, or you want to put like a sheet of plastic on it and then put the lid on it, because some people say that once the excess paint here dries off, it's really hard to open. But for me, I can open it with the hammer. So that's number one. Pour into a separate container. And I also found that pouring into like a milk jug or a plastic works really good. If you pour it into a milk jug, and let's say tomorrow morning you have to paint more, during the nighttime, all the old stuff, it's gonna peel off right easy. So watch this. You guys see that? So all the old stuff, overnight, it's gonna peel off like that. And now you have a clean jug to start over again. So pour it into a plastic jug. This is just a 1 gallon milk jug or a plastic tray. It makes it much more easier. Don't pour it into like a plastic one, no, a metal one, etc. Pour into plastic. and it'll just, the next morning it'll just come off, and you can pour your new session and start again. That's how you do it. And also you do want to stir this. Don't shake it. You want to stir it and then pour whatever you want to do. And then you want to use brushes. These are just cheap $1, $2 brush from your local Home Depot, Lowe's. This is a 2-inch brush. You don't have to get any special brush, any expensive brush. They got 1-inch brush, 2-inch brush, 3-inch brush, depending on how big of a stroke you need to do. Because at the end of the day, you guys see this right here? You guys see how hard this is? It's hard. Like, look at that. So this is pretty much trash. So they're not reusable unless you want to take the time to paint, and then after your session you want to clean it with acetone or mineral spirit. It's not worth the time. Just throw it away and get a new brush. So that's how to do it. So I would paint the bumper with 1 coat, and then the curing time is about 3 hours. That's the one thing that takes forever. And once you let it cure for 3 hours, you want to go back and touch it. If you can see your fingerprint, it's not dry yet. If you can slide right over it, just like regular paint, if you can slide right over it, you're good. At that point, you can put another coat, which they recommend 2 coats, 2 coats, and then on that second coat, you want to let it dry again for 3 hours, and you can see why this takes so long, about 3 hours. So after 3 hours, once it's dry again, then you can put a UV clear coat. You have to put a UV clear coat. And I didn't do this before. The reason why you have to put a UV top coat, clear coat, is because the POR-15 is not UV protected. So if you put this on your bumper and you're in it's a sunny day, the UV is gonna hit the POR-15, and eventually after like a week, a month or so, it's gonna start peeling off just like this. This is what it looks like. Once it starts peeling off, it's gonna look just like this, like plastic film. So you have to use the top coat. Now I don't have experience on the frame. Since the frame doesn't see a lot of sunlight, you might not have to do it, but why not? The clear coat comes in a can. It's super cheap, like $8, $9 a can, and it's really easy to apply. It's just spray it on. And the clear coat, I usually spray it on, let it cure for 30 minutes, and then do another coat, and then let it cure, and then after that I just spray some more. You can spray as many coats as you want. So I usually do about 2 or 3 coats of clear coat. For example, my rear bumper, I did like 3 or 4 clear coat, and then I just spray the rest of the can. I basically used one whole can, about the size of this, on the rear bumper, and then for my front axle and the frame, I use 1 full can again. So use clear coat. And now in the past, I didn't clear coat it. In the past, I would do my frame. I did on my Go Tacoma. I think I clear coat my Go Tacoma when I did the flatbed, but I noticed that yes, it does come off. So that's one of the weaknesses about POR-15, is that it's not UV protected, which kind of sucks. So once you do that, you're pretty much all set. Now here are some tips and advice for all you guys that are doing it. When you use this POR-15, you want to wear protection. You want to wear gloves. You want to wear long sleeve. You want to wear pants. You might even want to put on a face mask that will protect your whole face, because if this paint right here gets on you, it's not fun. Now when you're painting a house inside, it looks cool to have paint on you because you're painting your house, looks cool. But in this case here, you do not want this paint on you. It's almost like tar. You can see right here, I got some on my face, and if this stuff gets on your skin, it's just gonna take like 3 to a week to wash this off. You can't just go into your bathtub and scrub it with soap. It's not gonna come off. It's gonna come off naturally according to your skin. Once your skin wants to kill those dead skin cells, it'll come off. So you want to wear as much protection as you can. Back then, all I did was I wore like this. I just had gloves and I just painted, and it would always get on me. And the thing is that when you're painting, sometimes the paint, it splatters and you get these little dots. So that's why, I don't know how this got on me, because I was wearing my long sleeve, but I have the tendency to always pull my long sleeve up because I like to pull my long sleeve. So I think that's why it got on me. So wear long clothes, wear long sleeve, wear gloves, and just try not to get this paint on you, because it's not fun getting it off. You're gonna be stuck with paint on your face for a while. This right here got on me because I had the tendency to touch my face, and then I guess there was some paint on my glove. Let's say you're painting in like deep inside your axle. I always start from top. You always want to start from the top to bottom, and you also want to start from the farthest in and outside. So for example, if there's metal right here, you don't want to start like that and then start over here, because you'll end up like touching the paint. So you always want to start from the farthest top and the farthest in and work your way out. You want to work your way out and work your way down, because if you start from the beginning and you have to reach in to get to like a particular spot, you're just gonna end up getting paint on you somehow. And trust me, you might be the best painter, but trust me, there will be a way that this POR-15 gets onto your clothes, onto your hands, or something like that. So start from the farthest top and work your way in and down. Another tip is you definitely want to wear a face mask, a N95 mask, or some kind of respiratory mask if you're working inside like a garage or a closed building, because it's the VOC or the film isn't super powerful, but there's definitely a smell to it. I was doing it outdoors, so the first time I didn't wear a mask and I'm fine, and then the second time I got a N95 mask just to put on for the heck of it. But one of the issue with that is that when you put on a mask, you start fogging up and stuff like that. So it's up to you. You can work with it and see how the fumes affects you. And then the other thing about the POR-15 is that it goes a long way. I keep saying this to you guys. This paint here goes a long way, and a little goes a long way. And what that means is that you can take a little dab and you can, it's crazy how much you can spread that apart. You can spread that much so far. Like if I was to take a small dab, I can probably cover this whole thing and even cover this whole thing. So you want to do light coats and don't want to go heavy. If you go heavy, like if you take a big dab and go heavy, you're just gonna run into the issue where all that paint starts dripping and you're basically wasting it. So start little, spread as much as you can, work out the brushes. When your brush is running out, go ahead and dab again, because this stuff goes a long way. I did my rear bumper 2 coats, 2 to 3 coats. I did my front axle 2 to 3 coats, the side of the rails, the side of both frame rails, and I still have a little bit over half a course. So that's crazy. And the second coat that I did, I was being lazy. I didn't go light. I was putting so much. I was going heavy, because the second coat, you just get tired doing it. You just do whatever you want. So a little goes a long way. You don't need to put a lot. A whole quart can cover a lot. So I always recommend don't buy a lot of POR-15 unless you have like tons of job. Like if you're just doing one frame, like let's say you're stripping down a truck and you're doing one frame, start with 1 quart and see how far that goes. If you feel like you need to go buy more after that 1 quart, then go buy more. But if you end up buying a whole gallon and you find out that, oh, you only ended up using a quarter of it, it's pretty much a waste. Because once you do open it, I know that if you don't use it, like after 3-4 months or so, this stuff can go bad. I had a time where last time I didn't finish using it, and then it just sat for like 3-4 months, and I went back to it and it was all hardened. So with this being with half a quart, next week I definitely have to use it, and I'm gonna try to go back and do the rest of my frame, the rest of my rear axle, and maybe even just start on the front bumper, even though my front bumper is still spray painted. So yeah, really fun stuff. Now some people do use this as a spray. They put in the spray gun. I don't have experience with that, but you can research that yourself. And I guess the other thing about this is that once you're painting, if you're doing a lot of painting, your hand will get tired. those the strokes and all that stuff, your hand will get tired, so eventually you're gonna have to switch hands. So that's one thing that I kind of don't like about the painting process. It just takes a lot of time, and sometimes your hand gets tired. I honestly wish the POR-15 was like in a spray can, which would be kind of nice, just like a spray paint. But I'm pretty sure that if it was in that style, it probably wouldn't be as strong as how it is today. So that's my experience with POR-15, tips, tricks, and stuff like that from my experience using this for almost 3 or 4 years. And I only use this when I want to do like the frame, bumpers, and stuff like that. If there's anything that's not super important, I just end up rattle canceling it. Like for example, rock sliders, sometimes I just end up rattle canceling it because I know they take so much abuse, and when they get scratched up on the trails, you can just take a can of paint and spray again. But if you guys are looking to do like frame protection or rust protection, or if you have a nice front bumper, rear bumper, and you don't want to use like spray paint or bed liner, and you want to go with POR-15, definitely give this a try, man. It's definitely worth the money. And like I said, 95% of it is prep work, 5% is the painting, which is the easy part. So take your time doing the prep work. And even, I'll be honest, sometimes I don't even feel like doing the prep work. I kind of just rush it and try to get the paint on as much as possible, but then I end up like 2-3 months later finding it flaking off. So it's up to you. If you love something, definitely take your time doing it. So that's my experience with POR-15. If you guys got any questions, you guys have more tips, or you guys have experience with it, let me know in the comment section some tips, advice that you would like to recommend, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye bye.